Luis Alvarez, President and CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, on the line. Hi, Luis. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, Rebecca. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. So what is happening in technology? I look forward to these segments every week. I feel like a voyeur in technology every time you call in and open up a window and say, hey, look inside.
Well, I enjoy them just as much. And, a while back, you and I had a really interesting conversation about 3D printing. These are devices that use a digital template to, in effect, manufacture three-dimensional objects by putting down successive layers of material to build or print that object. Do you remember that conversation?
I do. It sounded like science fiction, almost like that replicator from Star Trek, where you could make anything you wanted by, maybe printing it out in your home.
Exactly. Although industrial 3D printers have been used by large manufacturers for years to make specialized parts, when we talked before, I speculated that the introduction of a practical, affordable device for consumers was at least 5 years away. Well, it turns out I was wrong, really wrong. A company called Cubify just launched a new 3D printer that's being marketed to the home user, priced at around $1,300, and it can be used to create thousands of things, from iPhone cases and doorknobs to a real guitar.
That is amazing. $1,300. Can you push a button and out comes out a guitar? I mean, how does this work?
Well, the printer we're used to prints by putting ink onto a flat surface, like a sheet of paper. The cube, as the 3D printer is called, builds up material in 3 dimensions to create a real object. It uses plastic resins that come in all sorts of different colors. The digital templates for these objects are available as software that you download to your computer and then send it to the device, much like sending a print job to the printer. Cubify's website, cubify.com, for those that are interested, has thousands of templates that you can download and software that lets you design your own 3D objects. There's even an app available for your smartphone that takes an object you photograph with the phone and creates a 3-dimensional template that can be printed by the cube.
I cannot believe how fast this technology is developing. So will I be able to print a lamp or an iPad?
No, not really. Well, at least not right away. For now, consumer 3D printers are limited to using malleable materials like plastics, although the industrial printers, which can cost them millions of dollars, use refined metals or even composite materials to create objects. Consumer 3D printing is something of a novelty, really, an appliance you can buy to impress your friends and neighbors in a way, but they portend a fundamental shift in our economy that's developing a lot faster than most people thought it would, including me.
What do you mean?
Well, manufacturing makes up about 12% of the U.S. economy, but most of that, we're talking about really big things like power generators or cars. For China, on the other hand, manufacturing represents over 45% of their economy, and most of that manufacturing is concentrated in creating things that can't be made in the U.S. as cheaply, but otherwise we build them here. Things that 3D printers can and soon will be able to produce at the push of a button. Imagine the economic consequences that we're talking about.
Well, I can see that it would impact manufacturers, but what about retailers? I mean, why would anyone even want to shop for something if they could just print like a plastic toy at home?
Good point. And even if 3D printers don't become household items, why wouldn't a smart entrepreneur invest in buying one, something more sophisticated and capable than the cube, set up shop downtown selling printed objects from a catalog while you waited? I can see it now. Hey, honey, I'm going to run down to Bob's, make it while you wait, and get those new coffee mugs you wanted. Be back in an hour. I think that's where the real impact will be. Community-centered light manufacturing shops that can create customized objects when people need them. No inventory, no overhead, just a gal with her handy 3D printer.
Wow. I mean, that's exciting, but it's also frightening at the same time. Is it realistic? I mean, would you have enough of the materials? Because, just even having every color of ink that somebody needs and every color of plastic dye, is it realistic?
Well, beyond a doubt. And I'm probably incapable of imagining how disruptive this technology is going to be. I mean, no one could have predicted the impact of Henry Ford's Model T. Who saw the internet coming and how it has fundamentally changed the world? And how about cell phones? The thing is, in most cases, disruptive technologies don't show up suddenly and cause massive changes. They spread quickly, don't get me wrong, but there's a natural progression. As Ray Kurzweil, a gentleman you and I both admire, says, it takes about 10 years to take a very expensive technology that doesn't work well and, converted to a technology that works very well and is almost free. We'll have to check back in about a decade to see if he was right when it comes to 3D printers.
Well, you're absolutely right. I remember in the 90s hearing about something about a government program with an internet. We didn't even know what that was. I mean,
How we could use it.
Yeah, and then it sounded like this obscure thing that just the federal government and, really large corporations that had enterprise backbone networks were going to be able to utilize in some way. I never imagined that I'd have a handheld device and could walk around and be connected to people. I mean, it was just unimaginable.
Absolutely, yeah. We were just talking about that today at the office, these new smartphones that are have better processors and more capable functionality than the computers that we had on our desks back in, as late as 1998.
The other thing I worry about is with all this technology, people could become very reclusive. They could just stay at home. They can create what they want. They can have food delivered to their house. Just about everything that you'd ever want can be delivered to your home. And I worry that we get really separated from one another. Do you ever get that feeling? I mean, you live and breathe technology. Do you ever get worried about that?
I sometimes do, but then I recognize that the flip side of that is that technology has the power to bring together people from so many different walks of life without any sort of geographic barrier that it lets you associate with who you want to when you want to. And so people that may not be comfortable, let's say, with the folks that they work with or the people in their neighborhood, but they can get on social media and create relationships. Albeit not real physical relationships.
Spoken like a true technologist. I'm an evolutionary biologist, so I will tell you that there are effects that happen to people by just simply not being touched enough. A child that's not touched enough will begin to show certain kinds of behaviors. And as much as I feel like, okay, there was no more barriers to all of us communicating with one another, there's another side of me that says, yes, but we're not that far out of the caves. We still have these basic needs.
Yeah, and touching and community is a big part. I have to agree with you.
It really is, and I think the more that we get independent, the more amazing it really is. But listen, that's all the time we have. But I want to thank you for keeping us updated every week, and I hope you'll come back.
I absolutely will, Rebecca. This is Louis Alvarez of the Alvarez Technology Group, reminding everyone that when it comes to technology, forewarned is forearmed. Forewarned is forearmed. Forewarned is